The horizon of New Arcadia shimmered with the persistent haze of mid-afternoon sun, a merging of heat and industrial exhaust that blurred the edges of the world int. A warped dream, the once sprawling city home to a million souls had evolved int. A jagged skyline of rusted steel and carbon strands, bordered by dilapidated buildings that sighed under the weight of neglect. People moved among the concrete canyons as if engaged in a collective dance. Their face is marked with a combination of resolve and resignation. Haven Grilly trudged along Bassel Way, the weight of her backpack digging int. Her shoulders 12 hours a day spent in a cramped lab under garish fluorescent lights made the lush ness of the outside world all the more precious. A soft breeze tousled her chestnut hair, pulling it away from her freckled face. She paused, glancing at the sky where the clouds hung low and gray, pregnant with the imminent threat of rain. Perfect weather for excavation, she muttered under her breath, having just emerged from her shift in bioengineering at the Arcadian Institute of Genetic Studies, the most prestigious lab in the city. Haven wrestled with the gnat of anxiety forming in her stomach. A bubble of excitement simmered beneath her skin, though today was the day she would meet with Zephyr Decker, her long-time friend, a self-proclaimed Crusader, had been teasing an extraordinary discovery that kept him awake at night, driven, as he was, by an insatiable curiosity about what lay beneath their world-finding. Zephyr was easier said than done. She followed the winding path toward the abandoned section of the city that the Institute oft avoided. It bore the scars of old industry, an extruded skeleton of history, whose significance faded against the zealous pace of progress. But it was here that Zephyr often roamed, a space where the past met the curious imaginations of the future, passing by a vacant lot strewn with ash and left over metal. Haven's gaze locked on a modest crowd gathered near the crumbling remains of an old factory. The people spoke in hushed tones, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and wonder, intrigued and slightly apprehensive. She quickened her pace, wondering if the crowd was in pursuit of the same thing. She was a heart bit buried beneath the rubble. As she neared the throng, she caught a glimpse of Zephyr, his tousled black hair a beacon against the gray back drop. He was standing on a mound of dirt with that over an enthusiastic zeal that was both endearing and infuriating all at once. His glasses rested askew on his nose, and the fluorescent yellow of his work jacket contrasted sharply against the dilapidation surrounding them. There you are, Haven, he called out excitedly, waving her over. The crowd parted as she approached and found herself face to face with the man who lived at the fringe of caution. See what's happening? You've got people all riled up, Haven said, her brow furrowing in concern. Rightfully so. I need your expertise, he said, his voice low and conspiratorial. His eyes sparkled with a mixture of mischief and intense determination. What have you found? She glanced around, noticing the worry etched on the faces of the crowd, flickers of fear hidden beneath their curiosity. Look, Zephyr pointed toward the earth beneath them, where small fissures were cracking open the ground, spilling forth clumps of dark, moist soil. It looked almost alive. Haven knelt down, her heart fluttering in her chest. A damp chill slithered up her spine as she brushed her fingers over the surface, where earth seemed to pulse with something other than the mere absence of life. What do you mean found? She asked. This looks like a sinkhole. No, it's more than that. Look closer. He leaned down alongside her, pointing toward the cracks where strange patterns slithered like veins through the surface. I believe something's underground, something biological. Haven's breath caught in her throat, the hair on her arms standing on end in a way that was both unsettling and exhilarating. You mean like bacteria, virus? What are we talking about here? Far beyond that, he replied, holding an object that glimmered faintly under the fading light, a fragment of some organic material. It appeared to swell and shrink with the rhythm of the earth below. The reflection in his eyes layered in expert's enthusiasm over a child's wonder. We need to go down there Down Haven felt her pulse quicken. Are you insane? Possibly, but think of what we could discover. His voice was almost a whisper, coaxing her closer to the edge of possibilities. We've spent our lives learning about the confines of biology. What if we could witness a break? Others in the crowd shifted nervously, whispering doubts that flitted through Haven's mind like shadows. We should call the authorities, she suggested, her instincts clashing with her desire for adventure. This could be dangerous, or groundbreaking. Zephyr replied, defiance swirling in his voice. He reached into his backpack and produced two shining headlamps. If come prepared, Haven, just a little exploration. She looked in, his eyes resting with the boundaries of her training and her heart's deeper longing for something beyond the known. The lure was tempting, the chance to unearth something monumental. As if reading her thoughts, Zephyr added, think of the possibilities. A few seconds stretched like elastic, the weight of the moment pulling at her decision. Finally she sighed, her adventurous spirit igniting all. Right, but if we do this, we do it safely. We extract samples. Then we go home before it gets dark. Dill, he grinned triumphantly. And she felt her fear yield to curiosity, the streets of New Arcadia hollowing out behind her as the promise of discovery loomed before them. Together, they gingerly descended into the fissured earth, bracing themselves against the cold. The ground felt softer than expected, the soil moist and pliable as they made their way into the hollow, distant murmurs of the crowd faded away, laced by the heart beat of the earth resonating against their bones. Once they were submerged in darkness, Haven turned on her headlamp, revealing a cavernous space that felt like a time capsule, a pocket of the unknown. The walls glittered with strange bioluminescent patterns, pulsing gently in hues of blue and green, as if they were responding to their presence. It was breathtakingly beautiful and unsettling. Is it magnificent? Zephyr breathed, all coursing through his voice. Haven could only nod, entranced by the dance of lights around them. But beneath the marvel lurked an instinctual trepidation. Something about this space felt alive, aware. At that moment, the ground beneath them rumbled, producing a low groan that echoed deep within the confines of the earth. It was as if the very entity of the land had stirred in its slumber. Did you feel that? Haven's words quiver it slightly as she turned to Zephyr, who was already motioning her further in, eyes wide with uncontained delight. Come on, we have to see what's deeper, he urged. But then the quake intensified, rumbling through the ground like a warning, yet a tremor that reverberated through their bones and sank deep in their instincts. The fissures widened, and the damp soil shifted, threatening to swallow them whole. Haven's heart raced. She glanced back toward the entrance, her mind struggling to rationalize the eruption of energy surrounding them. But they were already too far gone, standing on the precipice of discovery and danger. That doesn't feel right, she murmured, voice held tight like a fragile thread. Just at that moment, the ground split open in one mighty roar. They stumbled back. Why? In a tide of trepidation, one final time, the earth heaved, then something began crawling out from beneath its surface. Dark and slick. Haven gasped, stunned comprehension dawning as she beheld the impossibility unfolding before her very eyes. Something ancient, something stirred by their incursion into the depths, was emerging from its slumber, and with it, everything she thought she understood about their world dissolved into utter chaos. The emergence of the dark creature sent ripples of fear through Haven, each pulse of its being resonating with a growing sense of dread. The creature, illuminated by the bioluminescence surrounding them, appeared to defy all logic, shifting and contorting in strange fluid motions. What had they unearthed? What lay buried beneath the world above? Haven, look, Zephyr exclaimed as the creature unfurled from the earth. It was a vast and glistening thing that radiated an aura of mystery. Yet there was something mesmerizing about its form. It did not threaten them, at least not at first. As the creature completed its emergence, it paused, swaying gently like a leaf in the wind, observing its surroundings. And in that moment of stillness, Haven felt a connection, a spark of familiarity, a thread pulling at her heart. It was unlike anything she had studied, yet undeniably sentient in its awareness, fire alive. Haven whispered, her voice barely above a breath. She squinted in the dim light, trying to discern every scale, every movement, every flicker of emotion in its glistening body. What do you mean?" Zephyr asked, his excitement unmasked. She was hesitant to share her thoughts, afraid the weight of an emotional connection might anchor her to the creature. But she felt compelled to verbalize it. "It's aware of us. See, just as we are aware of it, it's intelligent." Haven took a cautious step closer, almost entranced by the creature, her heart. But echoed in her ears as she cautiously extended a hand, open, an invitation clothed in uncertainty, for a moment that felt like it. Eternity. Everything around them faded away, the world above, the bustling city. The noise, the chaos fell silent and forgotten. The dark, glistening form mirrored her movement, inching toward her like a tentative child making its first steps. A shared understanding began to weave itself between them, a tapestry stitched together by a common experience, catalyzing a bond it deeper than words could express. Haven, Zephyr exclaimed, breaking the spell. "What if it does?" Like that, she glanced back at him, the flicker of hesitation in his voice wrapping her in a flitting sense of doubt. But the creature pulsed softly now, its once intimidating presence enveloped in a glow that was strangely calming. "I think it's okay," she whispered back, feeling the weight of the moment settle heavily in the air. It was as though they stood at the crossroads of discovery and danger. One wrong move could shatter everything in that moment. The creature reached towards her, a tendril extending from its form. It shimmered under the dim light, and as it touched her finger, a ripple of energy surged through her. A warmth radiated from where they made contact, traveling up her arm and wrapping itself around her heart. Images flooded her mind, visions of life beneath the earth, organisms floating through darkness, a vibrant ecosystem, pulsating, unseen beacons of colors danced through her thoughts, unearthing memories of childhood explorations in the wild, the thrill of witnessing growth and decay, life and struggle. But then something shifted. The images turned darker, destruction, birthed by greed, darkness, trying to stifle light, filth encroaching on untouched lands. The vision became almost suffocating as she gasped, pulling her hand back. I saw something," she murmured breathlessly, trying to process what had just transpired, its memories, its fears. Zephyr's eyes widened as he leaned closer, gripping her shoulder gently. "What did you see?" "I think it's scared of us." She shared the warmth, dissipating, leaving behind the echo of the creature's unspoken thoughts. "It remembers a time when its world was vibrant, alive with colors we can't even imagine. And then it witnessed the darkness we've brought to it." Her voice cracked, laden with realization that burrowed deep into her. Empathy, a furrow creased Zephyr's brow. He had always been driven by a tireless desire for discovery. But now they stood at an intersection, their ambition challenged by the undeniable weight of consequence. He looked at Haven, and in that gaze, a silent understanding settled between them. What was to be done with this creature, this liege of both history and hope, as they processed the enormity of what lay before them and the uncharted path they now tread? The ground trembled again, this time more vigorously than before. There was a thudding low and ominous, far beneath the earth's surface. The creature turned suddenly as a deep rumble rippled through the cavern, shifting the darkness around them. Zephyr steadied himself against the rocky wall, glancing at the creature, which seemed to sense the tremor's approach. Haven, should a flash of light erupted in the distance, blinding them momentarily. As the aftershocks of the light calmed, they found themselves staring at a sight that both captivated and terrified. An entire colony of the creature's kind, emerging from the fissures, a wave of shimmering life entangling with the dark soil. An unexpected harmony flooded the space with colors that danced around them, each creature a pulse of energy embodying fragments of hope that seemed desperate. To re-establish balance beneath the earth, but shadows loomed behind them, dark and ominous figures advancing rapidly. The fisher's fear punctured the harmony, and Haven's heart sank. We need to leave now. They scrambled back, the cacophony of emerging creatures blending with their own hurried breaths, terror chasing them out of the newly revealed world. As they reached the cavern's entrance, they were faced with an unexpected sight. More figures stood silhouetted against the evening light, local scavengers from the abandoned sectors. Their eyes wild and hungry, clans caught in the throes of survival. "What are you doing here?" one of them shouted, shoving his way forward, eyes wide with shock. Lanky fingers stretched toward the creatures flooding the cave, as if wanting to grab them, but it was the glimmer in his eyes that sparked a compassion seep. It deep in Haven's heart. It was a longing, an understanding, a desperation for connection she had seen mirrored in Zephyr's own determination. The veil between them seemed to thin, and in that instant she felt the drifting threads of a larger tapestry reaching for her. This is just an opportunity for Reese, or is it something greater? She implored, her voice unwavering. These creatures are alive, they need our protection. Their world is in danger from what we brought above. We cannot exploit them. There's always danger, lady, one woman cried out. We can't just leave things to feelings when survival's on the line. The challenge in her voice contrasted starkly with the creatures threading in and out of the shadows. Yes, but we can choose empathy over greed, just like we choose to be together, Haven said firmly, catching Zephyr's eye. And the unbroken bond they had formed in their relentless search for truth. Please give them a chance. At that moment, the first of the creatures, shimmering and delicate, inched closer, raising a tendril toward the nearest scavenger in a pure gesture of curiosity. Hope sparked like fireflies weaving through air, their tendrils intertwining with the tension of those uncertain hearts before them, all eyes fixated on the creature, as it pulsed softly, watching them. And somehow a muted conversation began to unfurl, the beauty of possibilities stretching before them. A child from the scavenger's side stepped forward hesitantly, his wide eyes filled with wonder. Haven saw their breath catch as he extended a shaking hand. "Easy now, let it come to you," she encouraged softly, her warmth wrapping around them, spreading outwards like ripples in a pond. In that shared vulnerability, the tension began to dissolve, replaced by cautious anticipation. The creature lowered its tendril, brushing against the child's outstretched palm. With tender gentleness, the child's face illuminated with pure delight, and a faint shimmer danced along the edges of the creature's form, as if eager to reciprocate, to forge a connection. With that one small act of bravery, the air unwound, fear dissipated, and curiosity reclaimed its throne. Something remarkable happened. Then Haven felt a bloom of unity form, echoing through the mingled hearts around her, the scavengers, the creatures, and herself and Zephyr. They were caught in a moment beyond existence, a sigh within an expansive universe, a promise of what could prevail if they dared. Where fear and desperation once thrived, kindness began to bloom in the echo of that profound silence. Numbers gathered behind them, drawn by the upheaval below. It seemed the entire outskirts of the city would converge, each bringing their struggles and stories, illuminating the shadows with vibrant threads of life. Shoulder to shoulder, they could change the fate of New Arcadia, one choice at a time. But even in the cradle of warmth that pressed against their hearts, a flicker of doubt curled in the back of Haven's mind. Darkness loomed not far beneath the surface. She glanced toward the unyielding shadows still encroaching from the depths of the cave, and she felt the voices of her fears mix with the melody of hope. The world above buzzed with voices, aspirations blooming amidst the chaos, but they could not ignore the foundation beneath them that throve in silence. What lay below remained unexplored, waiting to bloom amid the echoes of redemption. With one final look at the child whose laughter threaded through the air like a bomb, she caught Zephyr's eye, uncertainty mirrored in his depth. We must decide now. This is our moment together. They stood at the edge of the abyss, mouths stitched together, hearts cradling the weight of futures unknown, as the gathering dusk draped over them. Something monumental echoed beneath the world's surface, whispering promises of what could be. If only they had the courage to step forward. But on the cusp of their journey, Haven felt the pull of darkness nag at her side, encroaching like a tide, and all too quickly. The stakes began to rise. A choice would be needed, a decision that could unravel everything, and somewhere in that amalgamation of fears and hopes, she felt the tremors beneath their feet quake louder, as if anticipating their next move, the darkness murmuring still for wants unsaid, for destinies that hung in the balance together. They would forge the final act, an indelible mark against time, and tide a story yet to be written with hands raised together. They would either bridge the divide between hope and fear or tumble back into the darkness below, a truth veiled in mystery, just waiting to unfold. Haven anchored herself at the precipice between fear and hope, her heart pulsating in rhythm with the echoes that emanated from the depths below. This moment felt monumental, each heart bit mingling with the energies of those around her. The child's laughter, sweet and innocent, spread an infectious warmth through the throng, bridging the growing tension that hung heavily over them all. The creatures surged forward from the shadows, a medley of shimmering forms eager to connect. And in that instant, the potential for a new beginning ignited in Haven's chest. Taking a deep breath, she felt the urgency of change swell within her. We can't ignore this, we can't go back to the way things were, she implored, voice firm yet unwavering. This is a chance for us to redefine what it means to coexist, each pair of eyes locked on hers, igniting a flicker of curiosity in their depths. We can build a future where we learn from each other. If we give these creatures a chance, we can create a boundary. In understanding, not exploitation, Zephyr stepped forward, a tide of indomitable enthusiasm behind him. What Haven means to say, he jumped in, is that beneath this fear lies the potential for a symbiotic relationship together. We can understand their needs and ours, foster a balance that respects both our worlds. Can you imagine what that might lead to? The scavenger group hesitate, shadows still shifting in their eyes, yet something softened in their hardened gaze. As they exchanged glance, tentative sparks of hope flickering among them. Plans began to unfurl, notions of gardens grown in symbiosis, ecosystems nurtured above and below. It wasn't without risks, but the community began to uplift one another, hope cloying the rubble of doubt that had once rid them all. The child who first reached out to touch the creature stood firm, nodding, as if understanding things wiser than his years. We could share. We could. He paused, eyes gleaming with possibilities. We could make friends. In response, the creature pulsed in a vibrant hue, echoing the boy's excitement, its tendrils weaving patterns of acknowledgement in the air. They sensed the bond forming, a bridge spanning worlds, built on the foundations of mutual growth. As cautious hands reached toward the mesmerized creatures, laughter began to ripple through the crowd, transforming uncertainty into curiosity. But the harmony was not just limited to the fragile alliance built that day. Motioning for the scavengers to draw closer, Haven focused on communicating. We can establish a safe zone, a place where these creatures can thrive, where you can thrive. They can teach us the land's rhythm, and we can learn to sow seeds of our own. The scavengers shifted, intrigue painted on their face. Anne Haven felt something lift within her, a subtle lifting of burdens as connections began to form. It was as if a light from the earth's depths surged upward, flowing into the very foundations of their beings, illuminating a path they had long resisted. As the dusk settled around them, the creatures danced in the glow of shared recognition, and the people stepped forward cautiously, eager to delve into understanding. They were not separate entities, they were all part of the same living tapestry. Zephyr motioned towards the entrance of the cave, rallying the crowd. Let's gather materials we need to make a foundation for cohabitation. There are old maps in the archives. We can use them to make this possible. Excitement rippled through the space as murmurs of agreement melded with fervor. The child had gotten lost in the wonder of the moment, his laughter bubbling forth like an unattainable dream, igniting the spirits of everyone present. Ill help, he exclaimed, darting forward to help gather materials, his little hands guiding the adults into action. In that instant, community expanded beyond barriers, wrapping itself like vines around their shared aspirations. Where once there had been hesitation, unity flourished, and all held hands as they ventured deeper into the embrace of their unknown future. Weeks merged floodly into months, the remnants of what were once neglected spaces transformed, cultivated by new hope. As Haven and Zephyr rallied the community together, seeds were planted, concepts exchanged, and friendships formed. Little did they know, the creatures of the earth shared their secrets with compassionate simplicity. Beneath their watchful glow, gardens bloomed and life flourished, bursting forth from corners of darkness that had lingered too long. Haven found her footing among the community of scavengers, people with stories etched on worn faces. She helped educate them on the delicate balance between survival and sustainability, using insights from the creature encounters. Bit by bit, her once unfocused life swelled with purpose. She became a beacon of change, inspiring others to open their hearts to the lessons being taught, the flourishing vines to intertwine and embrace their future. As the seasons shifted, an unbreakable bond formed between humans and the creatures they once feared. Together, they forged new paths, understanding that the core of their existence relied on intertwined futures. Vibrant gardens grew, but so did something deeper, the resilience of a community learning to nurture empathy alongside survival. On a particular evening, Haven stood shoulder to shoulder with Zephyr as they surveyed their surroundings, the very essence of hope visible in every green sprout popping up from the rich earth. The sense of family surged through them, like the gentle embrace of the warm breeze that kissed the evening air. I can't believe we did this, Haven exclaimed, her voice a soft blend of disbelief and joy. Look how far we've come. Zephyr chuckled beside her, gratitude swelling within his chest. Imagine if we hadn't taken the leap that day. What if we'd let fear write our story? His gaze drifted toward where the creatures played in the shallows of their irrigated gardens. It felt like a world reborn. This feels bigger than us, does it? For a moment, Haven was silent, absorbing the conversation and the weight of meaning it carried. It is, and it's made from all of us, a mosaic woven from every choice, every act of kindness we dared to embrace. Little did they know, an unexpected spark awaited the child from that first day, approached them, face aglow with the brilliance of discovery. He held in his hands a small but glimmering artifact, stone-like yet alive with luminescence, a vibrant connection between their two worlds. Look what I found, he shouted, eyes wide, delivering an exhilarating sense of joy in the air. It's a seed, but it shines. Can we plant it? Neighbors drew closer, breathing in the possibilities that surrounded them. While Haven knelt to inspect the seed, it radiated energy that felt remarkably similar to the creature's warmth that had once crawled beneath their city. Yes, Zephyr cheered along, sighed her excitement bubbling once more. That's a symbol of everything we've built here, a promise of new life. We must plant it together in this spontaneous moment of inspiration. A circle formed around them, hands coming together to indulge in the prodigious act of planting the seed. With laughter and excitement threading through the air, they took turns digging a small hollow in the rich soil, whispering their hopes and dreams as they nestled the seed within its new foundation. As dusk settled around them, a hush enveloped the crowd. They looked down, curiosity merging with wonder. Then, as if the whole universe had held its breath, a soft glow began to radiate from beneath the earth, tendrils of vibrant light wrapping around each person's heart, blossoming like flowers unfurling in the warm embrace of spring. Awestruck gasps filled the air, followed by spontaneous applause. And in that harmonious moment, they realized they were not just spectators, but co-creators of something bigger. Each flower that bloomed mirrored the growth they had all experienced together. Fear relinquished, understanding deepened, lives intertwined in the face of that living tapestry. Haven looked at Zephyr, her heart brimming with gratitude. Weeks turned in seasons, yet the commitments they had forged swelled even stronger with the natural ebb and flow of life. Neighboring communities began to take notice, drawn by tales of resilience and hope. Fortified through shared stories, their names spread like fugitive seedlings carried on the wind, the acts of kinship encouraging others to imagine a world where coexistence was possible. Shade trees were planted, inviting elder generations to share knowledge, to spin tales of old that carried weight through history, a ledger of hope and tradition. Nobody wanted darkness to snuff out the light they had nurtured together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, crafting a canvas painted with gold and purple hues, the lights from the garden glowed like stars, illuminating the community that had grown from what was once scraped and broken. Hand in hand, they formed an unyielding web of connection, shimmering with possibility, an outward manifestation of the love and understanding they had ignited together. Each step they took solidified the paths situated under their shared stories, now blossoming in vibrant landscapes. Haven caught her breath as she watched their small world blossom into life, a world built from compassion and renewed purpose. She had stepped into her own skin again. A long path traveled brought her here, defined by ambitions that breathed life. Her commitment to forging unity everlasting. Together, they created a sanctuary in the midst of chaos, a living embodiment of their intertwined stories, a harmonious conjunction that echoed through both worlds. Where once there had only been shadows, vibrancy prevailed, the cycle of life renewed in circles drawn and bonds nurtured. Their united threads wove a shared narrative, a living testament to the power of kindness against adversity and the unyielding belief that understanding conquers fear. As time marched on, Haven felt the warmth of the universe embrace her. It whispered to her heart that this union was just the beginning, a promise woven in it eternity, a reminder that love and kindness would thrive, and together they would create a tapestry that would shine brilliantly through the ages. In the heart of New Arcadia, where the past coalesced with the future, they had defined a new normal, a living truth that bore witness to the trials of existence and the kind of growth that only is when we dare to embrace connection over isolation, unity over division. With each sun rise it bloomed brighter, a beacon of renewed purpose, illuminating a path towards hope, a shared story that would echo ceaselessly through generations to come.